Welcome back to A Minute with Alan. As these Olympics wind down, I think it's appropriate to talk about sports and athletics. This one's called the sprints. And although I don't look it, I was an athlete in high school. I lettered in basketball and track. And in track, as a skinny white kid, I ran the 100 and 220. Back then, we were still stubborn as we use inches and feet. Today, we don't use metrics, right? It was the 100-yard dash and the 220-yard dash, which today is the 100 and 200-meter sprint. But I was a sprinter. I ran those two races and then the relays that came out of them. And I lettered as a freshman. I think I said that already. And in the 100-yard dash and the 220-yard dash, you got in these starting blocks, as you see as the sprinters do in the Olympics. You got in the blocks, get ready, and then the gun would go off. They'd have a starter's gun. And when you heard the gun, you just ran like hell. There was no strategy. You ran like hell. And then you hit the finish line. Either 10 seconds later or about 24 seconds later, you hit the finish line and you stopped. And that was my kind of race. You didn't have to think. There was no strategy. It's not like running a half mile or this guy who just won the 1,500 meters at the last second or the steeplechase or crazy things like that where you have to think and think and think and who's on my shoulder and am I getting boxed in? I couldn't do that. So I ran races where there was no need to think. And I think the same applies in life. Too many times we think ourselves out of a good solution. We think too much. When I raced, everybody talked about a good start. But this guy who won the 100 meters, Niles, I think his name is, he said, I don't have such a good start. It's how you run the middle of the race, he said. Well, in my case, it was the end. It was the lean. And in fact, he won the 100 based on his lean. He won it in 5,000th of a second because of his lean. And while most runners are sort of running out of steam and they tend to go like this straight up, I was taught by my coach, always lean forward no matter what, because it's your torso crossing the finish line that counts. So the worst part for me was waiting in the blocks for the starter to shoot the gun. And too many times it was too easy to think yourself out of winning. And so not being able to think once that gun went off and just running like hell, well, you know what? Sort of what I do today.